What's up, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to WCS Winter. We're moving into the winners match from our European group. My name is Fear Dragon, and I'm joined by Zombie Grub once again for some Zerg versus Zerg action. How you doing?
Yep, we love Zerg vs. Zerg. We volunteered for this position because we love it so much.
Actually, that's not sarcasm.
It's not.
I actually really begun to enjoy ZvZ.
Yeah, I actually have enjoyed it for about like 7 months now.
When did you first get into Zerg versus Zerg, Zombie Grub?
Well, apparently, no, 7 months ago.
Yeah. Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. These two guys that were seen in this next match, Serral and Namshar, are really good friends. Serral is pretty close with Namshar, not only in just talking and stuff, but they actually practice a lot together. I know that Serral has done specific shout-outs after winning certain tournaments.
Oh, yeah.
We're saying, like, thank you so much to Namshar for helping me practice and stuff. These guys have played a lot. They talk a lot with each other. And for exactly that reason, I do wonder, you know, if you practice with a guy like Serral all the time, Namshar's got to be extremely prepared to know what Serral's going to probably do.
Yeah, well, you know, European Zergs, they should probably know about ZvZ. I might want to know a thing or two about it.
Yeah, they kind of had to make a career off of that.
A little bit. But as much as that might be true, it's just like, I'm pretty sure that Serral has a dominating win record.
He does.
Versus Namshar.
I think so. Let me. I have the results pulled up on my phone.
Okay.
I'm just gonna go ahead and read these out. These are all the most recent results. Montreal Challenger round 8, Serral 3-0.
Yeah.
Valencia Challenger finals, Serral 4-1. We had, let's see, Valencia group stages, Serral 2-0. Leipzig, Serral 2-1. DreamHack 4-0, 2-0, 2-0, 2-0, 3-0. All Serral.
Yeah, that's what I remembered, so I'm glad that was accurate. But we have the game starting, and starting quick. In the top left, as the red Zerg going for that 12 pool, he is Serral.
And down in the bottom right-hand side of the map, we have the blue Zerg player, in my opinion, one of the hardest working European Zergs. We have Namshar from Fandy Gaming. The time is in every single one of those online tournaments. He's playing on the ladder in insane amounts.
Yeah. I feel like he is the poster child for just, if you do something a lot and you care about it and you work for it, then eventually you'll see a gradual improvement. Because he didn't really have those spikes that we see from some other players, like Raynor, for instance. He's like, yeah, he's good, he's good, he's good. Oh, wow, he's like super good. You know, there was a spike that seemed to come out of almost nowhere. But Namshar, there's really not been any like, boom, suddenly I took first place in a big tournament.
The closest thing I can think of is that season of Challenger, Valencia's Challenger, or I should say season 2 of Challenger, sorry Mark, that he was able to take 2 games off of Serral in the finals. And it was a best of 7, so he didn't get to match point or anything. But it was still, that was probably the big, closest to large, impressive thing that he did. Namshar doing something kind of funny. He's trying to hide a third base right now. Zombie Grub, when you're trying to hide a third base and you're trying to go for a really fast one,
well,
I feel like there's going to be 300 resources invested into, you know, not helping you defend against a bunch of lings chipping away the hatchery.
So believe it or not, he might be okay with this if this isn't an all-in, and it's not. It's a hatchery after the, you know, no gas, just early pool. He can defend this base, but it is kind of a walk for the drones to a natural on Cyber Forest, so he has to pull them, lose a lot of mining time, and then ideally not lose any of them. You lose more than 2 drones, suddenly the person who's attacking is like, actually, that went okay. So there are 2 drones right then and there, and more.
Oh my god. In
Lots
a
more.
split second, he goes from 2 drones lost to 8 drones lost. Oh boy.
Yeah. That was a mistake too. That I actually think he could have pulled back after the 2, and then like 2 seconds, nothing happened.
Was he whole position microing and then suddenly the lings? Because the way that whole position micro works is that there's about 2 to 3 seconds where the units will just be blocked in and they'll be like, I can't hit anything. And they'll be like, oh, actually, I'm just going to hit the thing that's blocking me.
I could have sworn he was attacking with the drones.
Maybe, yeah, that's what I thought too.
So
yeah.
I think it was just it's a very, very small mistake, and it's just amazing how like even Namshar was like, well, I might take 4 losses, and then suddenly it like spikes it, and you're like, wait, hold on, like, oh, shoot. So that's not the ideal opener, but he does have this space to fall back on. You know, it's a third hatchery already done, and it's hidden, so there's going to be a lot of misinformation given to Serral's Overlord over here, which we'll see how that impacts into the mid game. It could be actually a lot of different ways, and Serral was almost scouting that. Did he actually?
Oh
No, he's
my
going to see
God.
the creep spread.
Oh
He already
my
sees
God.
it, actually.
Yeah, the
That's
Overlord that was
unfortunate.
positioned to scout the main base is going to end up scouting that out. That's actually quite funny. Lair now on the way here for Serral. He knows about that third base. How is he going to react to it? Is he just going to go for +1 weapons Roach push with Roach speed?
That wouldn't be bad. I mean, as soon as you have speed, unless you see a ton of Lings running around and then it gets a little weird because maybe they initiate that run by / base race kind of a thing. Like you do have kind of that open opportunity once that speed is done, and you have accurate information on your opponent, which Serral certainly does. It's actually very. Okay, Overlord's gonna die here. This is kind of weird. Like Namshar going for a hidden base in ZvZ is already weird enough. Units are so fast, Overlords get spread out. I have Nidus by the way. Yeah, that it seems impossible to actually get away with a hidden base, but then he chooses one that is. It looks like it would be bound to be scouted by an Overlord like this, but to be fair, maybe this one's usually here, so
Yeah, I actually really wonder, because these guys play a lot together, this might be one of those things where Namshar says, yeah, well, I know that Serral is positions as Overlords, who sends one over here and the second one over there. But then Serral has changed things up, and maybe they stopped practicing the last week or two against each other because they knew they were in a group together. And this is kind of the result of that. Serral made some adjustments that Namshar wasn't entirely prepared for. Yes. Now with the Nice Storm coming down, there's...
This is how you go. Yep, I was going to say, that's going to just win the game. So you look at the Nice Storm, and it's like, this kills the Zerg. It does.
I really wish that I hadn't actually already hit score screen, because I want to see how many units were lost that game.
Well, 8 drones and like 4 Lings.
That's true. There were the early drones and Lings.
I think
yeah.
I did it right. I think I was correct with that.
Yeah. 14 units.
4 more Lings.
14 units killed by Serral, 12 units killed by Namshar.
Darn it. Because you also lost Lings and attacking into the Queens.
But yeah, a very quick game that was a little bit unfortunate, because I like the idea from Namshar, assuming that this is based on his knowledge of how Serral plays and that kind of stuff. But in this situation where it sort of seemed like Serral just had the Overlord in a different position than Namshar was expecting.
I think so. I think that's got to be it. I think you're right on about that Overlord just being in the unusual position, even though it's not totally crazy. That is actually not a pathway that these Zerglings would usually take down to the south, and Overlords, when you get into the mid-game, are more about like where are the Lings going, is there a third base?
You know what, actually, I wonder if this is because of that early pool and the Zerg players saying like, well, I'm sending the Lings out early, so maybe I don't have to worry as much about if you're early pulling me. I'll have Lings out anyways. They're going to be making their way across the map. I would encounter your Lings then regardless, so maybe because of that, you're changing up your Overlord path to scout for different things? Yeah. Yeah,
also a good point. But let's be clear here, like, if this was a normal game from off the back of that early pool damage, there wasn't a third base, there's a rather, a normal one, it's still, like the result is still basically the same. Things actually didn't change up so much with that third hatchery, except maybe he did take more drone damage than he needed to do. Maybe that would have been different, but otherwise he was planning on getting a third base with economy. And that Nidus Worm is going to kill someone who's doing that.
Yep.
So.
Absolutely, and the Nice Storms don't exactly die to drones anymore. So.
No, they don't. Well, to be fair, they didn't die at all to anything for a while.
This is true. They were invulnerable for quite a bit of time. But the funny thing is, they don't... Well, actually, no. The Nice Storm still has the armor even after it finishes, or no?
Not that high of armor after it finishes.
Okay, right. It's
pretty sure.
It still has some armor, but not any. Yeah. Usually, I just die. I had to kill the Nice Storm or I die. Yeah. So.
Well, I made the mistake of being like, oh yeah, Nidus Worms are killable now, and I went there with my Hellions, and they were like, like 1 damage, 1 damage. Like, oh, never mind, they're not really. Yeah. I can't kill that.
Okay, guys, we're moving into game number 2, starting up here on the top left-hand corner of the map, top of the blue Zerg player. He is Infinity Gaming's Namshar.
In the bottom right, taking that first game, he is the red Zerg, Serral.
Reigning WCS champion. Namshar going for the not crazy early 12 pool or anything like that, but a 15 or 16 pool.
I believe it was 16 pool.
Yeah.
Serral went for a 16 hatch. Okay. If you spawn in the top left of a map, you got an early pool, is so far the trend.
We'll see if that holds true, Zombie Grub.
Yeah. This isn't, it's so weird when we say early pool, you know? We're actually very unclear with our our phrasing, but like in early pool.
StarCraft people are just generally inconsistent because you have like a 3 racks, but then, so the 3 is the number of barracks, but then you also have a 12 pool, which is the supply that we use. And then you have like, I think that there are, I'm trying to think of a good example, but I'm pretty sure there are some builds that we've labeled off of the time that it hits so that the number is instead that. There's like, there used to be a build or two that like that.
Oh, sure. I mean, you'd always be like 5-minute 2-1-1 type thing. Yeah. But yeah, like you're right. Like it's maybe not the clearest vocabulary to be used. So cool. It does. But anyways, so it was a pool first is what the, I guess, more specific thing is to say there. It wasn't really that early.
Yeah.
The Overlord will eventually see the hatchery timing and know that, you know, it is, well, it's an early pool, but it is a pool first. But it's not a committed one as the hatchery is actually down.
Yep. You just try and send some lings across the map, and if you can kill off a drone, that is definitely ideal. But also just forcing out a couple of lings from your opponent. 6 lings is enough to snipe off a queen right as it pops out as well, but Serral knows about the lings.
Yeah.
Should be able to get in position to defend it.
That queen snipe only really ever happens if they literally don't make any lings, which Serral made 2. Safety, he didn't actually know what was going on quite yet, and then is now making more.
Good drone micro there from Serral. Hasn't really lost too much, so actually no, he did lose a drone.
Just then and there.
Yeah.
The retreating, the transferring drone betrayed Serral in his perfection. That is a good hold. It's because it was a, you know, just a pool first, not really that early of a pool. I'm not sure he was expecting a whole lot, whereas, you know, last game Serral did like an actually earlier pool. Really wanted something from that. So the game goes on.
And of course, the Zergling speed can be very delayed here for Namshar comparative to Serral, which means that these lings might be taking a bit of damage, but they managed to make their way back home just in the nick of time. So Queens will protect them. But that does mean that Namshar is kind of pinned back for a little bit longer than he would normally like to be.
So cancel on that Baneling nest. I think that was not a mistake, like, oh, whoopsie. I think he actually figured out that Namshar is going for that slower style with roaches as well. Now he sees the Roach Warren and even gets into the main before that wall is complete.
Okay, with the lings circling around, they are very difficult to clean up just because of Zergling speed. Really, it's just the queens that can pick away at them. I love the wall off there from Namshar saying, no, you are trapped in here until you die. Serral just saying, okay, well, I'll just get the scouting information that I can. Sees the lair start up. This is always one of those moves where I see a lair start up right as the lings are dying, and I'm like, okay, that could still be canceled and go for like an all-in or something. But when the lings are just going to be running around for this long, I'm like, okay, this is, you just are accepting that this is going to get scouted at this point.
Yeah, and good scout from Serral to see that it is, in fact, even going to have speedlings. So now they're going to be a little bit larger of a number here. Running across the map, Serral was already building his own Ling force. Now they're both obviously planning on going into roaches with +1 missile on the way, but if you start going roaches too soon and you are swamped by Lings, then we all know that can really do a bad job of being snowballed on. So you got to be a little careful. You got to play this stage of ZvZ a little bit longer, and then the transfer should happen.
Yeah, Serral making a few more lings than Namshar right now as well, as he's going up to 30 army supply with 12 more lings on the way. His own +1 weapons is also going to be finishing up around the same time as Namshar's, and he's going to start roach production, I imagine, pretty soon as well. But these lings are still threatening. The third base going to be under fire, and the Queens, they have the creep spread over here to transfer over to help out, but they also have to be careful themselves.
There is a significant Ling advantage for Serral. It's actually doubling still, just about, as he takes on the Queens, the Lings. I think there was a mistransfuse there. Roach pops out, but it's not helpful, and Serral might have just won with nothing but Lings.
Third base going down would be a pretty big win for Serral, even if he isn't able to bust on through, because the roaches are going to start coming out. He's popping on to these roaches, though. He's getting the surrounds before they actually come out in large numbers. The Lings are trying to buffer. They're doing an okay job, but another one of these roaches gets fully surrounded. Doesn't quite get picked off. Serral gets a bit greedy, tries to go for the run by into the main. Namshar has the fall wall off there. And Serral, despite, I mean, he does get a lot of drones up behind this.
Yes.
Does he have a roach count building up? I guess there's only 4 roaches now, so.
He doesn't have to worry about it. What he saw was not threatening as long as, you know, he builds anything at all, really. And he's starting to build roaches. His lings do get, actually, I guess, technically taken out. It's a very weird small fight there.
Technically die.
Yes, but it's not really significant. Namshar does have his roaches moving along here. They do have roach speed and they're +1, but defender's advantage will easily take care of this, even if it was actually a threat and it's not.
Yeah, wow. Serral just still able to claim these little advantages and turn them into something. I really thought that, you know, him spending so much time killing off the third base and also just trading on army versus army, and maybe things would turn out okay for Namshar, but Serral is still up now a good bit. He's even getting up a Spire. He's sitting up 10 roaches, and both these players start to move to +2 weapons, but as roach speed finishes up here for Serral, who's moving across the map, he's actually going to start pulling back now, though.
I mean, if he has... You could try and control the map if you wanted, I suppose, but I think there's also just not a reason to risk it. If, you know, your ultimate goal is to get to that Spire and the game is still rather even. It's not really even, though. Like, it's you know, it's something where Namshar, if he was making nothing but army, then that's a bad move from Serral, but it's not. And instead, Namshar is just sitting here at, up until now, like, it was like 10 workers below. Nope, still, like, well, still kind of is. 8 workers, so he is behind. That Ling Flood really did throw him off, and now Serral can just wait for the Spire to take control of the map, clean up the Overlords, and then back into roaches.
Yep, and the Overlords for Namshar have not really been able to come in for a while to try and get some any sort of scouting information to see something like a Spire coming out. And I don't believe he ever made an Overseer. He hasn't really gone for anything to try and get that information so far.
I think you're right. I thought he made one, but that must have been Serral's, who is...
It was... Serral did make an Overseer and sent it in not long ago.
Great job scouting. So that is a big, big, big mistake from Namshar, who hasn't even really been able to see, like, the gases being taken. That was... The Lings saw them before they were taken, so there's no indication to Namshar he has to worry about that. That doesn't mean he dies to it necessarily, but since it is going completely unscouted, you know, 8, 9 mutas at once appearing as a surprise, they can definitely start getting better trades than they should.
All right, well, minor supply block there for Serral, going to halt a few of these roaches from being made, but the mutas have been revealed. A lot of Overlords are available for cleanup here, and Namshar is going to be the one getting supply block for a bit. 2 more Overlords on the way. He's going to need to start up a few more, though, as I think that there are at least 2 or 3 more Overlords out on the map.
At least 2, and Serral's even split his Overlords up, or his mutas up, as his Overlords saw Namshar's Overlords, which is really nice. The first response to mutas, Spore Crawlers, and Queens. And luckily the Spore Crawlers are now done. 4 more Queens are on the way. He's going to be able to very soon tell that it's not more mutas. It is going back on roaches, but remember that Serral, he has the muta advantage. He does not have the +1 Carapace. Maybe Namshar can make it hold, but he's down 40-50 army supply. Yeah,
he is up in the army supply mostly because he has more roaches, a lot more roaches than Namshar, and he has the mutas. Combined with those 2 together, I think that the Queens are not necessarily going to be able to turn the tide of this battle. The upgrades helping out quite a bit, like you said, allowing him to survive just a little bit longer with his own roaches. The Corrosive Biles also pushing Serral a bit further back, but as the reinforcements come swinging on in, it looks like Serral is starting to take a dominating lead in this fight.
Yeah, just playing the ZvZ game as it's meant to be played, man. He's an expert at this.
He's really good at. He is really good not just at ZvZ, but Serral's very good in general.
Yes, that is true. ZvZ used to be the point where it was like maybe someone could do this, right? You know, Scarlet was a good contender, Raynor, but now like even locked it down, and it's been good ever since. And Namshar, while his ZvZ is not to, you know, shake a stick at, and why I think he is going to eventually make it out of this group, Serral is the one that 4-0s his group.
Indeed. Congratulations to Serral. He moves on to the next group stage. I think not many people are very surprised, but of course, like you said, Namshar still a very good player. I feel like it's similar to that situation with like Soul Spirit, where you say, okay, look, may have gotten 2-0'd there, but he's still a very, very good player, and I think especially Namshar is still the favorite to make it out second in the group. Especially, I would actually say Namshar's probably happier that he's going to be facing off versus Ziggy now over Soul Spirit, because Soul Spirit's ZvZ looked pretty good.
Wait, didn't Soul Spirit win?
Yes. It's early, guys. I'm sorry.
Well, I think you were very convinced in that game that he lost, that he was going to hold, so we've been there. There's no shame.
Yeah. Okay, guys. But you know who does know what they're talking about? The wonderful In Control and also Artosis, as of course they host an awesome show called the Pylon Show. If you guys are interested in checking that out, and it does happen every Wednesday at 5:45 p.m. Pacific. That's 8:45 p.m. Eastern, and sometime European, sometimes CEST. I don't actually know what that time is. 8 or 9 hours ahead. Use your Google; it is your friend. And of course, you guys can check that out. There's also all the VODs available on Artosis' YouTube channel if you go search for those. But a really great show.
Yeah, you know, we've been on there.
We have.
It's even better. Yeah.
Sometimes, yeah.
Oh, all the time for me.
Oh, yeah, that's true. But of course, guys, our next match is going to be that decider match that I so accurately depicted as being Soul Spirit versus Namshar. It's going to be a ZvZ, and this should be a lot of fun. Both of them showing some good ZvZ against a God King like Serral. But how do they fare versus each other? We'll find out in a bit.